Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna click start now. So Fabi, please count down in 15 seconds.
Down when I need to talk. Yes, I'll intro. Hello, and welcome to the Domination Series II group stage stream for the seeding. I'm your commentator today. My name's Ben, and I'm here commentating with Classic. Classic, how are we doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Hello.
And this is actually, while it might not be super exciting for a lot of viewers, this is actually really important because the seeding of the group stage, which is randomly selected, which will be randomly selected in about 5-10 minutes, is vital for teams to be able to advance from the group stage to the playoffs and have the opportunity to win the grand prize. And what is that grand prize, Classic?
Acid, and then second place will be Gladiator, just like last time.
Oh wow! And what comes along with the acid paint?
Well, as like last time, millions of crystals and many bonuses, which everyone does enjoy very much.
And of course, the Spectrum MB module, which
I
has
think that's
20%
something
protection
that
for everything.
everyone loves probably the most about it, since
Yeah, I
that
think
module helps you so much.
it's the paint and the module that's really the favorite of players, and I think the reason why they compete.
Definitely.
So just a little bit of background on how the seeding will work before we start. So it's relatively simple. There are 8 groups: Group A, B, C, D, etc., all the way through Group H. And there are a total of 54 teams, so there will be a couple of open spots in each group. And we have a ranking system, this is the first time in Domination Series that we've had a ranking system, and we're actually really proud of it. It's a very unbiased rating system. And a little bit of background on how exactly it works. So there are, of course, many teams that have participated in this tournament, who've registered in this tournament, but the teams, as always, they change from tournament to tournament. So players will move to different clans. So the way we've set it up is we do a player-by-player rating. And that rating is relatively simple. It's based on the place that each player came in the past couple tournaments. So we base it on Domination Series I, which is of course the precursor to this tournament, and Master of Swords, which just finished, with Peppers coming in first place and a couple of EN representative clans coming in the top 8, which we were really proud of. So each player has a certain rating based on those tournaments, and the ratings for each player combine into a team rating. And the top 8 teams are teams that you will probably recognize, including a couple of EN clan representatives. So in the first overall team is Penguins, which we're really excited about based on their ratings. And of course, the 5th team is Allkind, which is a very old, probably one of the oldest still active. I think it is the oldest active EN clan. Is that right, Classic?
That is true.
So we're really excited to have a couple of EN representatives, and we hope they go far. Now, who do you think is the favorite for this tournament?
That's actually very tricky, but looking back in DS1, I think we're definitely probably having, well, many people think Avalon will win first place once again, since they won it very well last time. Although last time, I do think, which many agree, that the seeding was quite unfair.
However, I do believe that Vavalon have won Acid as a clan 3 or 4 times now. in clan tournaments, which is really impressive. And I think they really want to keep their streak alive. However, a lot of the older names are no longer in their team. Of course, there's only for non-EN clans, there's a limit of just 12 players in the team, whereas EN clans who registered as clans have up to 32 spaces, and we do have a couple of teams that have used that many spaces.
Not that many, actually.
Well, I can name
Very
it. I
few.
believe Dynasty, who
Yeah, so
recently,
all 30 spaces.
yeah. I don't think they used all 32. I think
no.
they had 25 or 27, something like that. But
No, it was Elite Stars.
it's
You had all 30.
it's impressive to see that many players in one team, and it could work well or it could work not so well. We'll see.
I don't know how they're going to share out the prize if they do. If they
Yeah, I
perhaps
believe
come
that only
first on
12 players are able to receive the Paint Award if they end up winning or getting top 2. So we'll see. But they of course have many teams, 53 other teams exact to get through before they can make that decision. Who else other than Vavilon? Any standout favorites for you?
I think it's quite a surprise. We got AK, which just came back with many of their old players, which I'm quite looking forward to playing. Since we've seen them manage to get to Star Series, and then fortunately it stopped, so we didn't see them in the action there. But it's a pretty strong team as well. And then look at Synergy, since there's many famous players which we all do know there, which are there.
Absolutely.
You got Vavilon, you got even Eternity, which is also playing.
Yeah, so a lot of Russian clans that have a good opportunity to do really well in this tournament. Other than Vavilon, of course.
We expect them to do well.
Well, yes, we do. Peppers are a clan that recently, actually, they beat Vavilon in the finals of MOS to claim the Impulse paint, which is a new paint, as well as, of course, Spectrum MB. They have a couple of new players who weren't in that Master of Swords team, but they are one of the favorites going into this tournament. And I've really been impressed by their work ethic. They train every day for 1 or 2 hours, which is really impressive to see, especially from a clan that just did really well in a tournament. A lot of times we'll see that a clan does really well, wins a paint, and they'll kind of fall off in their activity. They'll think they're on the top of the world, and they won't really focus for the next tournament. But we've really seen Peppers stay focused, and I think they really want that acid paint as well as Impulse. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it'd be quite an achievement. 2 tournaments in a row winning, and then on top of that, Acid, Impulse, and Gladiator on top.
Another clan to watch out for. Actually, 2 more clans to watch out for: Synergy and All In. All In, you may recognize for some of the older players, is a clan from Star Series who was perennially in the top 4 and would go to the LAN finals. And they're a very old. They have a lot of old members, some of whom have actually come back pretty recently. So not all of them are super ready to go. They're somewhat rusty. We see Barzess, Eunice, John, a lot of old players. Poker, who was formerly Murad of Kazan City, who was in Star Series. Kenya, Papoy, a lot of Eternity players. So we do see a lot of strong players here, some of whom were actually in Synergy recently, and that's the other clan I wanted to point out. Synergy, a team of 12, who are actually made up of Eternity, the former clan Eternity, as well as some Synergy players. Some of their players won champion in
PC9. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another team to watch out for. They have lost quite a few key pieces, but the players from Eternity that they picked up are actually really good, and a couple of them, I believe, Maxay and Gothic, won Impulse in the Master of Sword 2v2, the tandem tournament. So some really skilled players to watch out for there. So I think there's a lot of good teams here.
But the competition is definitely be very high.
Absolutely. And let's see, any other teams that we should watch out for? I mean, I want to point out again, Penguins and all kind of the top 8 clans. Penguins and all kind are both pretty strong clans, and both of them have been training a fair amount. I'm probably a little bit biased because I'm actually participating with Clan Penguins, but you know, I'm gonna be nice to my friends. What can I say? A few other clans.
I would think
that
also
we see.
Knights or Chicago between them two.
Yeah,
Or even Grand
I was gonna
Warriors.
say that in the top 16, not thinking about the top 8, but 9 through 16, there are a couple of notable teams. Knights were just barely, they just barely missed the playoffs in Master of Swords, and Chicago, I believe, have been. I think they came in.
They came second in Domination Series I.
I think they
And
came
won
in.
Gladiator.
Oh yeah, they did. You're right. You're right. I think there's a fair number of different faces in that team, but we'll see how they do. I think being a core of strong players is going to be really interesting to see. What about the other 54? Well, excuse me, the other 38 teams? Are there any teams that you think might have a chance to prize some players?
Well, there's a big mixture of teams, and I've looked through many of them, and they're not. Or the one which made me smile was definitely the tour team, like all their members of the same nickname. I quite like that.
Yeah,
Well,
I do. They're all TOR and then a name. It's really cute, to be honest.
Right.
And you see them in games, and you always think, oh God, here's the Tanky Online Romania team again.
You got Red Wings with some famous players in there playing as well. You also got the team Fake, or F&F, the parkour team.
Oh yeah, F&F
That'll be
parkour
exciting.
team. I think they only have maybe 11 players, maybe 10 players, so it'll be tough, especially in hard format since it's 8v8. But I do think that, well, I hope they do well.
But who knows? They might be able to use some parkour tricks to win and catch up some flags.
Yeah, you never know. Hey,
Jump
don't
over
count them
buildings.
out. They might do well. Yeah, the team that I wanted to touch on, which you mentioned, is Red Wings. And there are a few players in that team who won champion with Synergy, namely Boogie Freezer and Na Easy, formerly known as Freestyle. And there's also a fair number of other pretty well-known players: Renat Dangerous, I Fear No Death, Crazy Boy, and others who I think of all the teams in the bottom 38 outside the top 16, I think they're my favorite dark horse. I think they'll have the best chance to get really far in the tournament.
Then also you've got some drug clans like Outlaws who are playing as well, and Outlaws are playing with like people know them, and then
yeah, I think some of the drug clans they're really good at what they do, and they're really great druggers. And if they play hard format against some of these Russian or EN clans, I think they'll have a better opportunity of winning. But the key is in the group stage there's a crossout. So if a team is smart and they're playing against Outlaws or another of those
Fake,
mainly drugger clans, they'll be able to. Yeah, Fake is another one of them. They'll be smart enough to cross out hard format, which is going to be the strength of those drug clans, and then the drug clans we'll have to see. I mean, this tournament is all about a team that can excel in all 5 formats. So we'll see. Speaking of which, can you give us a little bit of background on what the formats are?
Well, you got light format, and then you got the ancient format, which is commonly known with Hunter and Drell.
Yeah, so there's new light and there's old light. And the big difference there is the old light is the light format, or a takeoff on the light format that we saw in Star Series with hunters, Vikings, even dictators potentially. So you can have medium hulls in that format, as well as a smoky. And there is, of course, as much smoky protection as you want, and a total of, I believe, 105% against railgun. So some interesting strategies are possible there. That's one of the formats. What's the other light format?
There's no hunters, so it's just Hornets, 1 smoky, and 5 railguns. And then you
Hornet
have
or Wasp, right?
yeah, you have BPs as well, and you have protection from railgun. So teams have to be smart whether they use the both on the railguns. Up to them.
Yeah. So those are two of the light formats, and then the other 3 formats, of course, are medium, hard format, and a new and interesting format which I've actually had the opportunity to play a little bit, and it's actually really enjoyable. It's called critical format. It is Smoky Wasp with no protection from Smoky. It's 6v6. So the teams have really, I guess this format is more about skill and team coordination than anything. There's the 2 keys, I'd say, as a team are going to be drop control and attacking together for all of the formats. Oh, I guess drop control isn't so important for hard format, but for all the other formats, those are the keys. And I think Smoky Wasp is probably one of the best formats to be able to see that, because it's a little bit about skill and being able to shoot with Smoky and hit. But once you get over that hump, it's all about which teams can coordinate the drops and which teams can attack together. And so I think that's going to be actually a really exciting format to watch. And it has been very exciting to play it.
Play in Blitz, especially since that was a great format to play.
Yeah. And then a little bit of background on the medium format. Of course, we have a maximum of 3 medium hulls and 3 light hulls. Well, you can have more than 3 light hulls.
You get as many light hulls as you want.
Right. But a maximum of 3 medium hulls, and then there's you can use protection from any turret, but you can only have 1 turret per team. And this is, of course, is 6 versus 6. And then hard format. I'll let you do hard format.
Well, you can take whatever you want, basically, and protection's up to yours, and full drug is on as well. So
it's
and the
8v8,
drops
right?
are on as well. 8v8. Just
and
like last time.
It's a little bit longer. So all the other
the matches are 7. Like you got 17 minutes, but then 2 minutes is to warm up, 15 minutes to play.
Right. So all the other formats are 12 minutes with a 2-minute delay before you start, and then for hard format it's 17 minutes with a 15-minute gameplay and 2 minutes at the beginning.
And as well for hard, you could only have 3 short-range turrets per team.
So what are those short-range turrets?
Firebird, Freeze, and Sida, which are the main ones.
Yeah, so those are the 3 short-range turrets, and it's interesting strategically to think about how you use each of those turrets, because Isida can be really powerful. It does the most damage per second, as well as, of course, it heals. So in defense, it can be really strong to make sure, let's say you have a heavy hull in defense, it can keep that heavy hull alive for a very long time. But then again, in offense, it also has the ability to help out an attacker who is pulling the flag and keep him alive for so much longer, and he's able to pull the flag in and capture as a result. So it can be really strong in defense and offense. And I think the really interesting part about the rule is that often teams will choose to have 2 or 3 Isidas, but that limits their ability to have 2 of the really strong hard format turrets, which are Freeze and Firebird. Freeze, of course, is fantastic both in defense and offense, but especially in defense because it freezes opponents and doesn't let them get away. Whereas Firebird, of course, has the burning effect that can do damage for much longer after the fact. So I think it's a really interesting strategic thought process. Like thinking about whether you want to use 2 Isidas in a freeze and defense. So having a freeze and defense, but sacrificing one of the Isidas that you could use, or if you want to use 3 Isidas and hope that your heavy hulls and your Isida and defense are able to control the base. So I think the little rules, while they aren't really noticeable, I think to the naked eye at least, when you start thinking about strategically, it's actually a really important piece, and I think it makes the tournament really interesting.
Mm-hmm. But also, additionally to this tournament, will be also. Oh, don't do that. Well, anyway, in this tournament as well, we'll be adding a new system which will be allowing each of the players from every single clan, and it will show your total KD over the whole tournament. So you have the group stage, and then the playoffs, and then the double elimination. So each team will be able to see their own stats of how many kills and deaths and their KDs overall, and that'll be interesting as well.
Yeah, that'll be absolutely. I think that's the first time that we've been able to set that up. So it'll be really cool to see players DLs in tournament and see how they're able to use their equipment and how the teams are able to adapt. Okay, so we are finally ready to start the randomization process. So the way it'll work is we take the teams that are ranked 9 through 16 through the rating system, and we will randomly select one of each into certain groups, and then we're going to go on to the bottom 38 teams, so the teams outside of the top 16, and we'll randomly select teams to go in groups, and then finally we'll finish off with the top 8. And we're going to try to do this process pretty quickly. So yeah, and let's get it going. So we have randomly selected out of the 8 teams for Group A, Chicago. So that's the first team that's gone in. And Chicago's an interesting team here because we have a lot of relatively inexperienced tournament players in terms of Domination Series and Master of Swords. But when you look closer, a lot of these players are from the clan Loyals or from other clans, including the German tournament. I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, definitely, but Kampf des Ster or I'm not even gonna try. I'm sorry. It's a tournament for Star that just finished. So these players were in the finals, and so I think these players actually this clan has a chance to surprise people. Now we'll move on to the next pick. Next clan. The next clan is selected for Group B is Dynasty, and that's the clan we were talking about earlier, which has, I believe, 27 or 28 players. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what they can do. Okay, next pick. Let's see. And this is Clan Fake. This is one of the drug clans that we were talking about going into Group C, and I think they have a good chance of surprising some people. Star Warriors Classic. I've been talking a lot. I'm going to let you take this one.
So the next clan is Star Warriors, and they've been playing a few recent tournaments, and they're also an old clan. They've been playing many times in the past, as seen as well.
Okay.
And then the next team for Group E is Nice.
And Nice is a relatively small clan, only 12 players, as many of the teams are. And I think this team actually has some potential to surprise some people. They do have some pretty experienced players like Grisha, and a name that I can't pronounce, as well as Fight Machine. So we'll see.
And then for Group F, we have Knights, which is an EN clan, which everyone knows.
Yep, they just barely
And they
missed
missed out.
Yeah, barely.
Master of Swords when they lost against, is it GG Easy? Yeah.
And the last two picks are going to be Mujahideen is going to be. I'm really sorry. I'm sure I butchered that pronunciation, but that's going in Group G. And finally, in Group H, we have Grand Warriors. Okay, now we are going to go for the selection of the outside of the top 16 teams who will make up the bulk of the groups. So, as we said, there are a few teams here that I think could really surprise some people and do well. And I'm interested to see which groups they get placed in, because some of them could really take advantage if they don't get a super strong group. And of course, the danger here is if there are 2 or 3 really strong clans that are outside of the top 16, they could potentially get placed in the same group. And there are only a few teams that are able to come out of each group alive. So,
which is making it much more difficult, since to prove that your team is worthy getting to the top 16 for the playoffs.
Absolutely. And well, we'll see how it goes. I'm interested to see which teams get strong or weaker brackets. Let's go. I believe we're gonna pick. Let's see, what's 38 divided by 8? So I think we're gonna pick 4 teams in each. But we're gonna have to pick 3 teams in a couple of the others because there aren't a full 64. So I'm not sure how that's gonna work. So, as you can see, the first 4 teams have been selected, and they will go in Group A with Chicago. Any strong teams that really stand out to you here, Classic?
Well, for Group A, you got Chicago and Victorious, and they Chicago already, we know that since they did pretty well last time, and they got. I'm sure they have a huge like gut instinct saying that they definitely want to win this, and they'll be fighting hard. Although all of the teams obviously are wanting to win this tournament as well. But so far, I think they got pretty much the upper hand in this tournament, in this team, in this group.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now they just need to hope which of the top 8 teams join their team. Like, if I was, I don't know.
I'd say GG.
They would like GG Easy to join, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's the clan that everyone wants to have in their group. But I don't want to take anything away from them because they did really well. They won Gladiator. They were top 8 in Master of Swords, and so they do have the potential to sneak up on some people, even though people's expectations aren't super high. Okay, let's do Group B now. So here we have one of the clans we talked about, Tanky Online Romania, is TOR, better known as Tor, I think. So it'll be interesting to see. I think they have a fair number of players in their team. So we'll see how they're able to coordinate and.
Well, having a large amount of players in the team would help with all like the time zone, creating matches and stuff, and allowing more people to be at the right time of the matches. At
Yeah,
the same
I
time,
guess.
many people will be wanting to play, and it would just be a complete disaster.
Another team to note is Last Hope Forces, better known as LHF. They are a drug team, and I do think they have the potential to go far. I think they could surprise some people, especially if they are able to play hard format. But we'll see what happens.
I do think many people would like to play hard format since it's quite a fun format to play.
I don't know. We'll see.
And
We'll see. Next 4. Of Lucky, Outlaws, Warriors, and Bad. So yeah, those some more teams that we've already talked about. Outlaws, one of those drug teams again that we want to watch out for. And then I think there are a lot of teams with Warriors in their name, but this Warriors team was able to steal the perfect name, just Warriors. And they have a fair amount of EN players, I believe. So
yeah, they got
good luck to
extra
them. I really hope they do well. Make the EN community proud.
In the next 4 for Group D is coming soon.
Iron Fist Eternity. That's a big team right there. Thai team. I've never heard of them. And Random Noobs. Eternity, of course, have a pretty large team. Excuse me, not a large team, but a pretty well-known team. Some of their players, probably about half of their players, are from the clan Eternity, of course. Burn Flame, Dr. Andrew, Daxar, AoE 360. So, and of course LBJ 6. So a lot of pretty strong players here, mixed in with some players that I don't really recognize. I don't know about you, but I know John, Jan, is a maybe it's Jan. I'm not really sure. Pardon me. Yell at me after the stream. He an EN player, so it's interesting to see him among the Russian players and how he's able to do. How they're able to do.
Now we're waiting for Group E.
Never Give Up. Vega Squadron. That's a cool name. I like that name. Vega Squadron. Last Impact and Brotherhood. Do you recognize any of these clans off the top?
Not especially, no. Really.
I think a few of them are EN clans, and I do believe some of these teams that are really not known at all actually have the potential to sneak up on people and win, especially teams that train a lot. And I think that's something that really sets apart the teams that get through from that don't get into the top 32 or top 16 is that training and the work ethic that we mentioned that a lot of the top teams have. And I think that's one of the reasons, once again, Peppers were able to win Impulse in the last tournament.
Training is a must. So you have to practice behind the scenes even to get better at things, especially, and train against teams which are much harder against. Improve tactics, see what disadvantages, and just who plays better where exactly. So that's how the whole thing works out.
Yep. And the next group for Group F is Red Wings, the Twisted Warriors, Egyptian Pharaohs, and Face Off. So a few well-known teams that pretty not well-known teams, excuse me, that once again have the potential to be a dark horse and get to that playoff stage and really show what they're made of. Something I want to mention for the playoffs is that the formats will be assigned for each stage of the playoffs. In the group stages, there will be cross-outs, but in the finals, or in the playoffs, excuse me, there will be
To be assigned for each round, right?
Yep.
For each game. So it might become like unexpected, not knowing what format you're going to get.
Absolutely.
So
Okay, a couple groups left.
Two more.
The next four are Indian Spirit, Star Spangled Squad. I like that. Sounds like they're American, maybe. Sly Fox and Resulting. I'm not sure if that's like resulting misspelled or what. But
Possibly. I don't. It depends.
We'll see. Who knows? So I do believe Sly Fox are an overlooked team. John Deere is a pretty experienced player. He's been in a few tournaments. I believe he played in CC9 and just barely missed out on Gladiator. And they do have a fair number of other players. I believe this team has played together for a long time. So that gives them the potential to really do well, and maybe even to win. We'll see.
Who knows? It will be hard though, because there's many competitive teams that want to win.
Yeah, of course. I mean, everyone's motivated to get that acid prize.
And Spectrum module, definitely.
Well, of course, Spectrum module. Okay, so the next four: Dare, Roland's One Shot, Gangsters, and whoops, I think we might have made a mistake there. Sly Fox should have been removed. So I think we're gonna have to redo this one. Let's make sure we set it up correctly before we do this. And what I will note is that we don't have a perfect number of teams, which means that there are going to be a few extra teams that are left out that we haven't placed in groups yet that are part of the rest of the teams, the outside top 16, and we will replace those teams in groups in just a few moments. We once again, we didn't have the perfect number of teams, so the easiest way of doing this is just to go through, put four of the bottom 38 teams in each group, and then go through and take the final ones and put those in. So I believe we have redone the random selection, and we have in the final group, Group H, Big Players, Gangsters, Bear, and FNF. So let's see. Parkour Club might be able to make us proud. I'm excited to see what they can do.
It'd be interesting if they did actually do some parkour in the tournament.
I don't know. I mean,
especially on if the match is being streamed as well.
Well, absolutely.
Quite exciting.
We might have to stream
every
match that they play in just to see if they can parkour. And well, I'll be surprised. Let's put it that way. I think some of these formats are going to be harder to parkour in than others, but maybe they'll play hard format and have a bunch of wasps and do some parkour. You never know.
Be amazing if they won with a team just 8 wasps winning that.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I do agree that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd like to watch that. I'd pay to watch that.
So Gangsters are another team to watch out for that have some pretty old players. Gangsta of Paradise is their leader, and in addition, we have Resignate, who you and I know pretty well. He won Acid in the Lord of the Points tournament.
With the team, I don't know.
Yep.
IDK otherwise.
Yeah, I don't know what team, but we also have Mr. Machiavelli. I'm not sure if that's the real Mr. Machiavelli or if it's a knockoff on his name, but in either case, he's probably pretty good. And then Roy, I recognize him. I think he's a pretty well-known XP player. So a fair number of oh, and of course Das and Mario. Das Mario, what a fantastic pair. Okay, so I believe we have a few teams left. It looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me just double check that. So we have 6 more normal teams: Special Attack Tarantula, Elite Stars, Dare, Roland's One Shot, Legendary Warriors, and the Blue Knights. So we will randomly select one. So we'll go back to the random selection, and we'll put one in each group, each of 6 groups. And yeah. So let's do that. Elite Stars is going in Group A. Next, I don't recognize Elite Stars, so. Whoops. That's not good. Let's remove it. Elite Stars, I believe, have a fair number of EN players. I think it's a full EN team, if I'm not incorrect. And they have, I think, a full 30-player team. So we'll see if they're able to take advantage. The next team, Roland's One Shot.
Yeah, for group.
Followed by
C.
Dare. Yeah. Hack. That's Special Attack Tarantula. That's left. Excuse me. Uh-oh. We might have some technical difficulties with our random selector. Hopefully it'll work out. Uh-oh, that's not good. Well, I guess that means that we pick the Blue Knights next. And finally, Legendary Warriors going in Group F. So now, for the really fun part, the interesting part, where we see the top 8 clans get selected for their groups. So this is the key moment for all of the less experienced or less acclaimed clans, because they really don't want those top clans in their groups. Well, maybe they do. Maybe they want to prove themselves. You never know. Looks like we're going to try to make sure this random selection process works well so that we don't have any technical issues, because this top 8 selection is really important. Probably the most important part of this whole group stage selection. So see what happens. And I will say that pretty lucky for teams who are in Group G and Group H, because they only have 6. There's only 6 teams in the group, but there are 7 teams in all the other groups. So that means they each have one less team to compete with.
And one less game to play with as well. Which makes it more of a chance of them even into the next stage to the playoffs.
Okay, so we have randomly selected. We've set up the random selection, and we are ready to get it rolling once again. So, drum roll, please, for all the viewers out there. Group A. Chaos. So Group A goes Chaos in Chicago, as well as victories. I'm not sure how they want us to pronounce that, but let's see Group B.
I think everyone's clenching their sheets right now. I was hoping that they didn't get that team to join their team.
Yeah,
Join
I
their
know.
group.
So this Group A looks like a mostly Russian cleanse.
Well, you have Falcons and Apex.
Up next, we have, drum roll again, please. Oh, we have to remove Chaos before we do this.
Good idea.
Here it goes. All Kind going into Group B. So one of the EM clans that we really hope is able to succeed in this tournament, going into Group B. And I guess I'm not supposed to call them All Kind. I guess it should be AK, because that is their name. But I'm sorry, guys. I took stuff into my own hands. Okay, Group C. Let's take a look. GG Easy. So that's going to be interesting. GG Easy still has the opportunity to get out of that group, but they're probably out of the top 8 one of the weaker clans. And we do have some pretty strong clans in Group C. Fake, Outlaws, as well as I believe Warriors were pretty strong if I remember correctly. So Group C could be really interesting. Next we have All In. So one of those really old clans that we talked about before, with some very experienced veterans who won champion, as well as very old who might be a little bit rusty. But once we see them in the playoffs, I'm sure they'll have trained and played enough to be back in
I
there.
don't think you want to underestimate them.
Yes, absolutely. Don't
they
underestimate
joined to play
them.
for a
They're
reason,
very
and they
skilled
want to
players.
just like everyone else.
Next, Penguins going into E. That looks like a pretty straightforward group for Penguins. I think. Once again, I'm slightly biased, but I don't really recognize very many of the players in any of the other clans for Group E. So they'll definitely have a chip on their shoulder and try to prove me wrong, but we'll see how they're able to do. Next, we have Peppers, Master of Swords champions who won Impulse Paint, going into Group F. What do you think of that group, Classic?
I think it's going to be quite tense, because especially since Peppers have already played Knights in MOS, and well, in the group stage.
Yeah, they were in the same group stage
to get
for
into
MOS.
the playoffs. So I think the tension is going to be very high there, especially since you also got Face Off in the same team and Red Wings. So I think that's going to be the most heated group out of all of them.
Well, we'll see. Group G and H still have to come. So going into Group G, we have Synergy. And of course, going into Group H, we have Vavalon, rounding it out. So those are two really strong teams. They have pretty easy groups, seeing as they have one less. They have a free win. They both have a free win, because one less team that group. So that rounds out the groups. Anything else? I think we're all done.
Yes, so I think we'd like to say good luck to all the teams participating in Domination Series II. And
absolutely, good luck. We hope you enjoyed the stream. We're sorry for the slight delay at the beginning. We had a couple of technical difficulties, and we hope we streamlined this as well as we could. And we hope to see you this coming Saturday, I believe, we have a stream going on, so we hope to see you then. It's an interesting event that has never taken place before, with 2 of these top clans, Penguins and All Kind, competing. We'll tell you about that a little bit more in the coming days. Thank you, Bobby, our broadcaster, Used, Cool, of course, the esports admin, and the legend and Mr. Latvian, who've really helped us out a lot. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'm being yelled at by our organizer, the legend, so I really have to shout out for the legend. And thanks, guys.